Think so, yeah. Oh my... I hate that book, man. I'm so dead. This is terrible positioning. Go, dude. So there is, guys, after, I think it was about 9 hours of pulling, probably took me just over 100 pulls. We managed to get it down on the Rogue. Obviously, that's Rogue and Druid out of the way now. Next is Barb. But let's talk about the rapid fire build that I used. As you can see, my damage was kind of crazy, despite not abusing, you know, any Twisting Blade shenanigans with the poison stacking. I ended up going with rapid fire as it's probably the best marksman build for damage. And we'll talk quickly about my gear. I'm not going to go over the fight. Obviously, we've done that before. We'll start with, what should we start? We'll start with the gear. As you can see, we have damage reduction from my helmet. You kind of want something with poison imbuement, because that poison imbuement, you are going to constantly restack it with the bursting venoms aspect. So getting ranks in poison imbuement is very good. Cooldown, armor, want as much armor as possible. 10%, very nice. Chest, damage reduction, armor, the usual suspects. And then dexterity gives you a bit more damage. Obviously 62 dexterity. Is going to make up for, I don't know, maybe 5% of our total dexterity, which, based on the way that skill damage works in this game, that's just 5% more damage, so very nice. Gloves, my gloves are insane. Rapid fire, crit, lucky hit, chance, attack speed. With the poison imbue skills, have up to a 10% chance to create a toxic pool. This is very strong, not because you're abusing any kind of poison stacking, but because it allows you to constantly have imbued skills. We have so much damage that only infects imbued skills. It is very important to constantly have our skills imbued. This is an opportunity to do that. So resetting that poison imbue over and over again is very powerful for damage. Legs, DR, damage reduction, dex. These legs are actually kind of sucky, to be honest. That 574 life is never going to help me anytime. This could have been DR. Maybe that would have helped me in some situations. But we did end up actually being somewhat tanky. So these are the legs. Boots, movement speed, dex, dodge chance. This energy cost reduction was kind of whatever. You really don't need it. This could be any fourth mod. It could be something to help you get to a stat break point on your Paragon board. Could be anything. And then Manglers is very important as it allows you to stagger the boss much faster. by applying daze. It's lucky hit. I had a 33% roll, so if I lucky hit, there's a 1 in 3 chance that I'm going to daze the target for 2 seconds. It's a decent amount of stagger. But what you will notice from the clip is a lot of the stagger actually comes simply from the poison trap and the knockdown effects, but we'll get onto that later. The bow, this bow is kind of crazy. Dex, Vuln, Core, crit dam. This could obviously be better if I got critical strike damage with imbue skills, but hey ho, we didn't get that. A lot of people are using the 840 bow. I did the math on it. It's not as good. It's not even close. This is much better than that. And obviously you can have edge masters on this wall for more damage with primary resource being full. And we'll talk about how we managed to do that at all times. Obviously we are using combo points, but there are other methods to make sure we always have 40% increased damage, because this is a very powerful effect you want to take full advantage of. The amulet, cooldown, dex, movement speed, weapon mastery. This amulet's crazy. If you don't get this, it's not the end of the world, but aim for at least, you know, weapon mastery. Exploit is also very good. Cooldown reduction, dex again, 7.8% dex is just 7.8% more damage. That's the way main stat works in this game. Brilliant. 18.8% move speed. You know, you need to be faster than the souls. This would be nicer if it was a bit higher. There were times when my move speed, I was just on the break point, but luckily you obviously have a dash on rogue. Rings, Vuln, crit, lucky, crit chance. You can even get critical strike damage with imbue skills. This ring's actually kind of shitty. Other than, you know, the rolls are good, but the crit damage is very, very low. This could be much better. Same on this ring, exact same. The aspect, sorry, I missed. I actually put the attack speed aspect on my neck, and that's because attack speed is just very hard to come by, and the way that I was scaling my damage was by having rapid fire 9 arrows. We'll see from the Paragon board later, and this obviously just increases essentially your cast speed as well as your attack speed. So attack speed is very, very powerful. We actually used a 20% attack speed elixir for the same reason. You just want to get everything out as quickly as possible. And then the dagger, dex, all stats, vuln dam, crit dam. You can get crit dam with imbued skills again. The all stats can help you get to Paragon breakpoints. It's not necessary. If you can't get this, then just go ahead, get crit dam with imbued skills. It's going to be very, very strong. And then obviously the best aspect for combo point builds, attacking enemies with basic skill increases the damage of your next core skill by 10%. You attack 3 times, it's going to be 30%, just a 30% more multiplier. Sure. And then Condemnation. I actually tried without this for a while, but there's just no other aspect that comes close. Despite the weapon itself having extremely lackluster stats, it was hard to beat 40% more damage. Now, obviously, I tried it with this right here. 95 dex is approximately, what, 7% more damage. 50% crit is, I don't know, let's see. Close to, that's actually not accurate. I don't know why that's so low. I think maybe it doesn't count Paragon Born in Town or something, but I have about 330% crit damage. So 50 of that is going to be, what, 16% more damage, so we're at 26, and then 10% more full damage. So it's close, right? That's about 35 maybe percent more damage. And then obviously we have the imbue potency, which only really affects the amount of poison damage you do, which is already very low. So it's very close between Condemnation and a rare dagger. If you don't have a good Condemnation roll, then I would say to use a rare dagger, but I ended up going with Condemnation, and it was very, very strong. It increased my damage a lot. Maybe I just don't understand damage multipliers in this game, but it ended up being very, very powerful. In terms of spec, we are combo points. I was trying out Insight and something else. Now let's go on to our skills. Puncture, this is so we can apply Vulnerable. There are arguments to using Vulnerable Trap, but I'm not buying them. I feel like Puncture, it attacks so fast, it feels so good to use. The problem with things like Heartseer and Force Valor is you just have lower attack speed modifiers. That's all it is. You can't rapid fire as frequently. It's a huge multiplier to your damage, being able to basic attack 3 times much faster, because you will rapid fire more often as a consequence. So Puncture was the thing of choice for me, and it obviously saved me an aspect slot. Rapid fire with enhanced rapid fire and improved rapid fire. This is how we get full energy all the time. We constantly have max energy. You can use advanced rapid fire, and I did try using it. It's a very, you know, interesting playstyle when you're trying to evade between rapid fires to increase your damage. But the problem is, why do that when you can just stand still and, you know, attack and have permanent uptime on Edge Masters at 40%? It's, needless to say, it's very good, right? 12% close damage reduction, bit of healing, goes a long way. Weapon mastery, we end up getting 30% increased critical strike damage because of our crossbow. Brilliant. Dash with enhanced dash. So with this, You can play around this to try and give yourself more damage. Honestly, in phase 1, you don't really need it. And more often than not, I found myself dashing out the arena, or dash seems to be very, very buggy in phase 1. Maybe it's just me, but I noticed that dash was extremely buggy in phase 1. So trying to min-max this for damage was quite difficult. In phase 2, you can absolutely do it though. Every single time she pops a pool down, you can just dash through her, drop a trap. You're going to do a lot of damage. Dark Shroud, obviously we're getting 3 Dark Shrouds from our aspects. Poison Trap. Knockdown is a huge source of stagger for us. You want to poison trap as frequently as possible in phase 2 to stagger her as frequently as possible. And resetting your imbues is very nice as well. Then we have Shadow Imbue. Shadow Imbue over Cold Imbue because, as I say, Poison Trap, deals with the stagger. And then Shadow Imbue actually applies a 12% more multiplier to your damage. So easy choice over Cold Imbue. Poison Imbuement obviously juices up a decent amount of poison damage. But the main thing is resetting it over and over and over again so that you constantly have imbued skills, and you can make it so it does a bit more damage. But you can see in the kill, like my poison damage is ticking for maybe 400k twice a second. So it's a decent amount, but compared to the amount that my rapid fire does, it's very, very minimal. I'd say probably in the range of 5% more damage, the poison. Then no ultimate skill. Innovation and Alchemist Fortune. Obviously all our damage with imbued skills is constantly non-physical, so we just have 15% additional lucky hit chance. Very nice. Adrenaline Rush for a bit of energy regeneration, and then some move speed and attack speed. While we have different amounts of energy. Obviously we pretty much all the time have more energy, so that's why we don't have full points in this. Otherwise this would be very good to have 3 points in, but we don't, so just 2. And then precision. I tried out close quarters combat with a melee spender, didn't like it, really didn't feel good. Precision was what I went for. And then this is the monstrosity that I came up with for this particular build. This is going to be very different than what other people are doing, I'm sure, but this is the one that I settled on. You can see my damage, it's very, very good. Maybe what other people are doing is better, but this is what I ended up choosing. And I'm very confident in this. I think it's a very good Paragon tree, but I'm more than open to people pointing out errors or inconsistencies or things I could do better. Please let me know. We start with the Marksman Glyph. Obviously, we take reduced damage, and we do 52.8% increased damage with Marksman skills. Very nice. Then we have imbued skill damage here with efficacy. We're grabbing some vulnerable damage. Now, I did actually place these in the wrong order, so I'm not getting some of the improvements, but I actually ran out of gold whilst I was fighting. So some of the rare nodes you'll notice aren't doubled up. We come in the middle, we get Exploit Weakness. Again, just a more multiplier to our damage when the target is vulnerable. And then this point right here, Cunning Stratagem. I don't see enough people grabbing this. What this essentially means is that every rapid fire fires an additional arrow. You would normally fire 8, instead you fire 9. That is just a 12.5% more multiplier to your damage. I don't know why people aren't using this. This is very strong. 12.5% more damage might not sound like a lot when you compare it to other things, but the problem is Rogue doesn't have that many more multipliers to deal with. It doesn't have that many to choose from. You're pretty limited, so this is actually a very strong point for what you get. And the board isn't that bad. Obviously, you get a lot of core skill damage. And we get a nice placement on our exploit glyph here. I actually ended up dropping a lot of the strength. You'll see I'm in 1-point strength nodes. I just ended up dropping them just because of the sheer amount of vulnerable damage that I had. It was less efficient for me to have this over some other nodes. So that's why I don't max out my exploit glyph. Come up here, we've got Canny. Canny is phenomenal. Non-physical damage increases all the non-physical damage an enemy takes from you. This is just another more multiplier. Beautiful. And then here we have combat, which is just a lot of crit damage. 77.2% crit damage is a large amount. Eldritch Bounty, obviously very good. When you're proccing that poison imbue over and over again, you just get 20% more damage. This doesn't stack or anything, but 20% more damage when you attack with your poison imbue. And then if you're constantly attacking with it over and over again, it's just 20% more multiplier. And then we ended up grabbing the imbued skill damage up here. It's just very valuable. 7.5% compared to things like, do we have one? Yeah, 5% non-fizz. Well, why take that when we can take 7.5? That's why I ended up going there. And attack speed, again, I'm such a huge proponent of attack speed. It's so strong. We ended up getting 9% from this board right here. And then finally, we end in Deadly Ambush, where we get a 23% increased critical strike damage multiplier to enemies affected by our traps. That's why it's so important to place your traps correctly. And, you know, if you understand, the more you understand the fight, the more you're going to know when she's going to stand still for a certain amount of time, and you're going to get good opportunities to drop your traps and do a large amount of damage. That was the Paragon board. So that's that gone over. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions about the build or any improvements you think I could make, go ahead, leave it in the comments. I will leave the link to this build in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.